you are required to make interim payments as follows. Amounts to pay: £2,500 by 30th August 2024, another £2,500 by 29th November 2024, and another £2,500 at 28th February 2024. So guys, officially your girl got into a debt of £7,500. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, my name is Olaomi Audu, and on today's video I'm actually going to be sharing with you just my experience around registering my business for VAT, and yeah, just basically around the whole tax system, and yeah, I might just share some light on how it works or how it has worked for me. So in case you're just joining me for the first time, I started my business, or rather I formalized my business some months ago, quite recently, and so you could technically say that I'm a small business, and I decided to opt in for the VAT registration. Now, the VAT registration is not something that you compulsorily have to do except you have reached a certain threshold in your business. I believe you should be having returns of about, I think, 85,000 for it to become compulsory, but you can voluntarily opt to be registered, you know, under the VAT system, you know, if you start your business. So I decided to do that, and yeah, I'll start by reading the letter that I received from HMRC. If you're not in the UK, HMRC is actually the body that controls the whole tax system in the UK. All right, so I got this letter. All right, and yeah, you'll see how all of a sudden I got indebted to £7,500 just by registering for VAT. How is that even possible? Well, let's see. Okay, so you also requested, okay, so I wouldn't read the whole beginning part of it. It just has my VAT registration details, like my number and all that. And then from the third paragraph, it says, you also requested to join the VAT annual accounting scheme. We can confirm that you are authorized to use this scheme with effect from 1st May 2024. Your first VAT accounting period will run from this date to 30th April 2025. Your annual accounting period might not always be 12 months. If you have asked for a specific year end, your first period may be shorter than a year so that it coincides with your chosen date. No VAT period may be more than 12 months long. You are required to make interim payments as follows. Amounts to pay: £2,500 by 30th August 2024, another £2,500 by 29th November 2024, and another £2,500 at 28th February 2024. At the end of the accounting period, you must complete and submit your return electronically. Do this by the due date shown on the return and include any balance owing. Now, if you do not do this, we'll use the normal procedures to collect the money you owe. This must be paid separately to any interim payments. So guys, officially, your girl got into a debt of £7,500 that must be payable by August, November, and by February. When did I start my business? How much have I made in my business? How am I supposed to catch up with this? Anyway, let me just tell you the whole background to the whole why I landed myself into this. So when registering for VAT, there are different schemes, and while I was opting or making my registration, I opted in for the annual accounting scheme. Now, the annual accounting scheme allows you to make your returns on an annual basis, so I wouldn't have to, you know, make returns and pay the taxes monthly. But, you know, I've opted for the annual scheme where I can make those returns annually, right? So the whole idea is that it's supposed to like reduce the paperwork. So instead of me like preparing paperwork and making returns every month, you know, I can do that on a yearly basis. Well, that was my thought when I was putting in the registration. So I figured out, yeah, I'll have more time to, you know, arrange myself together and, you know, within a year do that. It would help me concentrate better on my business. But what I didn't know was that with the annual scheme, I still needed to make interim payments on a quarterly basis. Okay, so even though you've opted for the annual scheme where you make your returns or you submit your returns annually, you still have to make interim payments quarterly. That means you have to make some certain payments towards your tax every month so that you don't become liable. Okay, and I didn't know that, I wasn't aware of that. But when I got the letter, I discovered that I had to. And then the part that was even the more, disturbing part in the letter was the amount that I needed to pay on a quarterly basis. I saw 2,500 and I'm like, okay, when did my business start? How much returns am I making on my business? If I have to pay that amount quarterly, how much would I have left to even run and manage the business? So it was a big concern for me. It was a big worry. And immediately I got the helpline for HMRC and I called them up, and they said, okay, I stayed on the line for a while, but I was redirected to another number that I could call that could, give me some more information about it. And I called that line, and she actually explained, the whole process, that yes, it has to be made, the payments for my tax, has to be made, quarterly. At least something has to be paid towards it every quarter. And I'm like, okay, but this money that you've put for me to pay, it's too much. I'm not sure I can generate that much. And she was like, yeah, the information that I provided, while I was putting in the registration is what determined the amount that I was asked to pay. So probably I have maybe over exaggerated, what I expected would be my revenue. And yeah, so I'm a woman of faith, so trust me, I'm sure I really put in a lot of figure. I really cannot even remember how much that I put in there, but it was based on that this figure was actually calculated for me. And she told me, you know what, you don't need to get worried or stress yourself about it. Just call or just appeal, and that amount can actually be reworked. So yeah, fortunately I was able to do that, and I think I spoke with somebody else who was able to readjust it for me. So the amount I get to pay on a quarterly basis is nowhere close to 2,500, much to my relief. Okay, it's something that I feel I can actually accommodate and afford. Yeah, but of course that doesn't mean that at the end of the quarter I wouldn't be submitting my returns and paying the exact amount. So if at the end of the annual accounting period you submit your returns and you discover that there's been a shortfall on the amount that you have paid, or you have paid throughout the quarters towards your VAT, you will have to pay up the balance. Or if you have an amount that is probably more that you have paid, you'll be returned, the excess of the money will be returned back to you. So that's how it works. So even though it's an annual scheme, you still have to make quarterly interim payments towards your final payment at the end of the year. All right, and then the other bit that I had opted for, which is like the other part of the letter, it says that you have also asked to use the flat rate scheme. We confirm that you're authorized to use the scheme with effect from the 1st of May. And then much later in the letter, it told me the amount or the flat rate that I needed to pay on an annual basis for my returns or for the tax. So the flat rate scheme is another scheme that has been organized by the government, which I believe is very helpful for small businesses like mine, where instead of having to calculate your total returns, so the way the VAT system works is that you pay for the VAT that you have for the services you've delivered, the VAT that you have collected from the clients, you pay that, and then you're supposed to deduct the VAT that you've incurred from purchasing other products or services from other places to be able to deliver the service or deliver the product that you have finally sold. So it's like a net that you're actually supposed to pay to the government. But with the flat rate scheme, you wouldn't have to start trying to get all your papers or your receipts or all the documents, trying to calculate what the net figure would be. All you have to do is just to pay a certain percentage of your returns to the government. Okay, so for me, I feel that that's easier. I feel that that's more flexible for me. I can work with that quite easily because it's just a percentage that I'm paying. So that really works. Instead of having to start putting all together my receipts, I buy a lot of products to deliver the service that I do. I have a lot of subscriptions that I pay different levels of VAT on, and there's a lot to start trying to document all those things. It's just so much. Of course, for the services that I deliver to my clients, it's easy for me to get the figures and the paperwork for the VAT that I charge on those services. But for the ones that I expense, I feel that is harder to put together. So I decided to opt in for the flat rate scheme, where I just pay a certain percentage of of my returns back to the government. So that is what I will now have to pay and return by the end of the annual accounting period. Okay, so that's just simply what the whole two schemes are all about. That's the annual accounting scheme, where you get to return or pay your tax or your returns by the end of the annual accounting period, and then the flat rate scheme, where you use a certain percentage, or you pay a certain percentage on your returns, as against calculating based on paperwork on the amount that you need to pay. All right, and then that was not the end of it, guys. I got another letter again. I got another letter, and this letter was now a penalty charge. Guys. The perils of starting a business, right? Okay, so let me just read a bit of this letter to you. So, construction industry scheme. This is another scheme along the tax kind of schemes and payments. Notification of late filing penalty charge. So apparently I had opted in for the construction industry scheme, which I probably did it unknowingly. Honestly, I can't even remember how I opted for the scheme, but I figured out it's something that I thought about that I might need in my business subsequently, but it's something I'm obviously not using now. So I don't even know why or how I opted for it, but here is the notification that I'm late in my payment and I have been fined and I have to pay. So we have not received your contractor monthly return for the period shown above by the due filing date, 19th May 2024, and a penalty has been charged. You need to pay now. Interest may be charged on the penalty rate. For how and where to pay, please see the pay slip. Now, of course, there's an option here too to appeal this penalty charge. Guys, I also registered for the payee scheme, where you actually make payments, national insurance payments on the employers that you pay in your business. And I think while I was also making that registration, I also put in for the construction industry scheme, and I wasn't even aware that I was already registered. I think I got the notification that my registration came in, I think a week before this letter came in. And I was really worried because they had said that the filing date for the construction industry scheme was supposed to be on the 19th of May, but the letter was received in June that I was already registered in for the payee system. So I was wondering how come there was a lag. I didn't even get the information that I was already registered for this scheme. So how is it now that I am owing them and I'm having to pay a penalty charge? But fortunately, there was an option to appeal, and what I did was I called the number and I spoke with them, and I'm like, okay, so it's like when I was getting my registration done, somehow I was included under the construction industry scheme, which currently I'm not using. I don't intend to use, anytime soon. So how can that be sorted? And they were like, oh, not a problem. It's actually something that can be sorted. And fortunately, she was able to help me sort that out, and I didn't have to pay the penalty charge. Phew. Yeah, because I was like, how money would just go that way just for nothing, or because of ignorance. So in case you're considering using this scheme, if you have filed in for the construction industry scheme, so that scheme basically is for if you intend to use subcontractors in your business. So if you intend to like subcontract your business out, especially when you're working in the construction field, probably like for instance, now I have a professional cleaning services. I intend to hire like subcontractors to do the job for me. Yes, I would have to be registered under the construction industry scheme, and then I would have to make returns every 19th of the month. Now, even if I don't contract anybody for that month, I still need to let them know that there has been nobody contracted within that period. Just have to update that information on a monthly basis. I didn't think that was necessary for me now, so I decided to take that out. Yeah, but if you are doing that, you know, it's actually an obligation, and it's something that you would need to do, and you would need to, of course, put in place also for your business. So I just thought about it, and I was like, maybe this experiences might just help somebody that is trying to register their business or trying to understand how the whole tax system works for new businesses. So yeah, that's how it works. These are the schemes that I opted for, and these are my experiences around it. So you can actually go in for, you know, the annual accounting scheme, where you just submit your returns on a yearly basis. I think it's a lot more easier. I think it's actually going to save you a lot of paperwork, and yeah, it will be easy to put together. Or you can also go in for the flat rate scheme. You can actually run both schemes together, and just pay, you know, a certain percentage of your tax, instead of, you know, having to calculate and use the standard rate where you have to now net everything up. No. So those are my experiences. I hope you have learned one thing or the other. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please like my video, share it, comment, and of course subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.